put any questions that you have in chat. I'm here with my colleague. I'm just gonna. Okay. So I'm Samhar Yohannes, and I am a science reference and instruction librarian. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome to the session. I'm here with my colleague, Brianna. I'm going to let Brianna introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Brianna Hughes. I'm the other science or STEM librarian. I also use pronouns she, her. I work primarily with the biology, physics, mechanical engineering, and computer science and electrical engineering departments.
And I work with the other STEM departments. Just so we get a sense of who's in the room, can you, and you're free to use audio or you can put it in chat. Can you mention your major / department and what year you are?
My name is Nun. So I am in computer science program, and I believe I should be in my 6th year. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the session. So for today's agenda, we're going to go over a number of things. We're going to talk about what is a literature review, the steps to writing a literature review. We're going to do a demonstration of the library website, so where you can find your resources, how you can go about doing a literature review using the library website. And then we're going to end with a checklist. And this is a checklist that you can use from 2 different perspectives. So you can use it as someone who is hopefully one day reviewing a literature review, or someone who is writing a literature review. So to make sure that we're all on the same page, a literature review is a summary of the research on a particular topic and an evaluation of that topic. So it's specifically the research that you just gathered. And so I think what a lot of students struggle with is the second part of the literature reviews definition. It's not only a summary of the research that you've collected, but it's also an evaluation. And I think a lot of students forget that the fact that they're actually supposed to evaluate the research that they just gathered. And so how can you evaluate? And so the things that you can critique the research that you gathered, you can discuss the previous research that's been done. You can critique the methods of those studies. And you can also evaluate the body of research to demonstrate where your research will fit into the larger academia, larger research itself. And so just to reiterate, you're going to discuss the previous research. You can critique the method, and you can also talk about where your research fits into the actual research itself. Where is the gap? So here is an example of what a literature review evaluation looks like. So this is just a highlighted section of a literature review where it's both the summary and the evaluation. And so you'll see here, I'm just trying to find the beginning of the sentence. Okay. Some authors performed a study on 1,925 students across 4 Canadian universities and found that 24.1% of students had been victims of cyberbullying over the last 12 years. These shocking numbers show that nearly 1 in every 4 people have been victims of this phenomenon. The statistics is interesting, however, because we compare studies that were done amongst younger age students, and you see that the numbers are drastically different. Can you hear the tone? Do you hear the language that they're using? Shocking, drastically, interesting. So what is the purpose? Why do you have to do a literature review? So there's a lot of reasons, It could be a required section of a grant proposal. It could be a required section of a paper. But here are some other reasons: to gain understanding of the research that others have done, deepen your knowledge of the research of the topic. Again, identify the holes, identify the gaps in the research, the larger research itself, and show where you can sort of add new content. You can learn about the actual research itself by identifying and learning about the terminology. And again, position your work in the context. So where you've identified the gap, and then you're going to show where this is where you exist in the research itself. You can exist in the gap by sort of closing it by adding new content. So there are many different types of literature reviews that you can do. Specifically for STEM, there's 3. These are the 3 different types of literature reviews: method, systematic, theory. In terms of method, let me pull up my notes. This type looks at how different researchers conduct their research, and then the way the research has been gathered. So it is looking at gathering literature based on the method of that study. Here is an example. I'm going to see if I can link out. You can usually tell what type of study that researcher or that paper is because it's usually indicated within the title. So here's the title of an article, and here's the type of literature review they've done. It's usually stated very clearly. Next, systematic. This is where you gather all of the research on one particular topic. And again, you gather and you evaluate. And so here's an example. And as I said before, it's really obvious to see what type of study that particular research did because it's in the title itself. So here's the title of the article, and here's the type of reviews they've done. So I've put here in smaller box something called a scoping review, which is very similar to a systematic review, but it's a smaller scale and it's usually done before a systematic review. This is basically where you get to explore and then typically address a broad question. Researchers often conduct this type of study to assess the extent of available data, available literature, to organize into groups and then to highlight. So kind of view this as a preliminary step to determine whether you want to actually do a systematic review. And then last, theory. This is where you gather literature based upon a theory or theme within that topic itself, within that research itself. And so, just like before, it's really obvious to know what type of literature review is done because it's usually stated right in the title. And so you'll see here, questions so far about the 3 different types of studies, literature reviews: method, theory, systematic.
Are these, so those, you talked about the titles. It's stated in the title. So what, those titles, what are they exactly? Are they actual?
So they're telling you what type of literature review they've done in that paper. So they're telling you in the title, we've done a systematic literature review, we've done a theory literature review, we've done a method literature review.
Okay, so are there situations where it's actually a literary review, but it's not stated in the title?
Yes. With that one, so You are encouraged when you write a title, you know how there's usually two parts to it. There's that short part in the beginning, and then there's the semicolon, and then there's the longer description.
Mm-hmm.
So usually when you write in the longer description after the semicolon, you want to be as descriptive as possible. So that makes it easy for the readers to know exactly what they're getting when they decide whether or not to read your paper. So you want to indicate, I'm doing a systematic literature review, I'm doing a methodology literature review, I'm doing a theory literature review, etc., or argumentative literature review, or historical literature review, etc., etc. You want
Okay.
to help the reader as much as possible.
Okay. Yeah, but those papers you're talking about, could you go back to them?
Which one would you like me to go back to?
We could just start with the method methodological methodological.
I know it's a tongue twister, so I just never even bother to say. I just say method. Okay,
Okay.
so here's the title,
Mhm.
and it's telling
So
you, you see,
so
semicolon,
okay.
and then underneath this, after the
It has
semicolon,
a colon, not a semicolon, actually. Um, okay, never mind. But a descriptive intellectual review. Okay, and this is just a paper, and so this paper, all this paper is about is just a literature review. That's all.
yes. So
Okay,
you
so
can write a
what else
paper
is
that
that?
is just a literature review.
Okay, okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. Okay, so you have a paper that is just a literature review. That's fine.
So there are options. And so sometimes the literature review can just be one portion of the paper. Other
Hmm.
times it's the entirety of the paper.
Okay, okay. So I wanted to clarify that because I'm trying to find out whether it was part of a paper or part of a dissertation
It
or
can be it depends on what the final product is. So if, like I said, if you're submitting a grant, it's usually just a portion.
okay,
If you're doing a dissertation, again, it's just a portion.
okay,
However, if you could be submitting an article and the article is just a literature review.
okay. Makes
Does
sense.
anybody else have questions? And to the people who've come in just a little bit after since we started, just know that this is recorded and I will be sending a copy of the recording tomorrow. So you'll see the part that you've missed. Okay, so what we've done so far is discuss what is a literature review, which is both a summary and an evaluation. It's the two-parter. And then what we've also discussed is that we've looked at 3 different types of literature reviews. So there's actually a lot more than 3, but these are the 3 most popular ones in the STEM. Okay, so let's talk about how do you actually put together a literature review. And so what Brianna and I have done is sort of kind of sat down and thought about the different steps, and these are the steps we think are the ways for you to have a successful literature review product. And so first thing, make a plan, select and refine your topic, search the literature, evaluate the literature, take notes, keep current, you need to stop, how to organize your literature in a way that is easy for the reader. And then last, create citations. So we'll go through each step now. So first thing, make a plan. And so the reason why you want to make a plan is that you want this to have a start and an end in a way that is logical and that you don't get overwhelmed with the process. So you have to think, what is the main purpose of the literature review? Are you writing a grant? Are you submitting a proposal? Why are you doing this? Who is your audience? Is it your instructor? Is it a peer review board? Who are you submitting this product to? What is the final product? as I just talked a little earlier, is it one portion of a product? So is it just a section of an article, or is it the entirety of the article? Is it a grant? Is it a proposal? Is it a poster? What is the deadline? You can use many tools to sort of help you think about the big picture from start to finish. And we've kind of listed a couple of examples here. So mind maps, note-taking apps, etc. So here's an example of a mind map. And like I said, the big picture. So there are many different sort of types of mind maps, sort of to look at the big picture. And so here are two different examples. What is the topic? And then kind of look at it from like I said, big picture, and then the smaller subunits of that particular topic. Select and refined. Have a topic. If you don't have a topic, there are a couple of ways for you to select and refine. What I usually tell the students that I'm working with is that go to our library website and utilize a particular tool called our article tab, and simply just type in a couple of keywords associated with that topic and just read the titles of the articles related to your topic, or find a couple of journals within your field and then just read the table of contents. See what other researchers are writing about, what they're researching. That will give you a sense of sort of where your topic is going. Where do you see a gap? No one expects you at the top of your research to know what your thesis statement is. You have to read the literature, skim it, to get a sense of where is the gap? What do you plan to do? Where do you see an opportunity for you to add new content? Has anybody in this room gone to professional conferences yet?
Professional or academic?
Well, in terms of both, I'll just say that.
I've been to both.
Okay, so another great opportunity is also go to the through the table of contents of your conference. They usually give you some sort of brochure. See what the people submitting to that particular conference. Look at their posters. They usually have a poster presentation. See who their keynote speakers are. Who are the people in the various panels? See what they're researching. Again, no one expects you at the top of this process to have a thesis statement. But this is sort of the fun part where you just sort of just skim, do a top layer research, top layer search. Okay. Where do you go to find content? And so there are a couple of places on our website where you can find your subject resources to help you find the literature. And so the first place is what I always recommend is when you go to the front page of our library website, as you can see here, right above the search box is something called the article tab. This is our version of Google. And so you can search by title, by author, by subject. This is a great place for you to just sort of skim, to get a sense of your topic, how big it is, the range, the scope. You'll get a lot of sort of keywords utilizing this particular resources. This should be the starting point, but you only want to view this as the starting point for your research because this only does a top layer search of the content that's out there. So the article tab, think of it as if it's searching our 10 databases and our 10 e-journals, it's only doing 20% search here and 30% search there. It's only doing a top layer. So that's why once you're done with the article tab, you want to move over to your subject resources. And there are a couple of places where you can find your subject resources. One place is that you can go and click on the journal tab right above the search box, and you can type in the name of a journal that you're familiar with in your discipline, locate it, click on the link, and browse the journal. Same thing, if you know of a database in your field, well then again, go right above the search box, click on the database tab and type in the name of a database that you're familiar with in your subject. And then search that database. Another way for you to find subject resources in your discipline is to go to something called a subject guide. A subject guide is where we've grouped the top resources of each discipline in one location. So let's say that you don't know what your key resources are, you don't know what your key journals or your key databases. That's okay, because we've grouped them in one location and we've listed them here. And when I go and do the demo, I'll show you where it is. Okay. There's still other places for you to locate literature, locate resources in your discipline on your topic. And so you can search gray literature. And so gray literature is basically literature that you cannot find necessarily in databases. You can look at conference materials. We have databases that are just related to looking at conference papers. You can look at manuals, you can look at patents. Patents are really important, for instance, for the chemistry people and engineering people. You can look at data sets that there are a number of government agencies that provide a lot of good data sets that are useful for STEM students, STEM researchers. Okay. Now that you know where to locate the literature on your topic, the next question is, well, how do you actually start navigating these resources to retrieve content on your topic? So it doesn't really make sense for me if I'm telling you we have, resource here, a resource there. We have all of these journals, we have all of these journals, or excuse me, databases on your topic related to your topic if you don't know how to search them. So there are many different ways for you to search to navigate those resources. So the most popular way that people are familiar with is using the Boolean operator of and, or not. So when you write and, so let's say that I am searching on the topic of the mental health impact, or excuse me, the impact of social media use in young adults. So I can go to a search bar in one of my databases and I can type in young adults and mental health and social media. And so if I separate all of my keywords with and, I'm telling that database I want all of those words in every single search result. If I want, for instance, certain words to always be together in all of my search results. So for instance, if I want the word young adults to always be together and not separated in my paper, so I don't want a paragraph with the word young and a second paragraph with the word adult. I want those two words together in all of my search results. Well, I'll put them in quotes. So that's telling the search engine that those two words have to be together. I can also do an author search. I can do a search, for instance, by university. If I'm familiar that a lot of the literature that I'm looking at usually is produced from, for instance, a particular agency or a particular university, I can filter by that with some of my databases. Another way for me to search for content is that if I identify a really great paper, a really great article, then I can simply just go all the way to the bottom and look at its references and then retrieve them. So if I notice that I really like citation number 1, 2, and 3 of this great article, then I can simply go to the front page of the library website and search for it there. This is a very popular way to look for more literature. It's usually referred to as like footnote tracking or reference tracking or something along those lines. Another way for me to find literature is there anybody in the room who's familiar with the resource called Web of Science?
Yes.
Right, anybody else? Okay, so Web of Science is one of our best and most popular science resource. All of your faculty love it. The reason why they love it, because it can do a lot, but one particular thing that they really like is the fact that it can tell you, for instance, how often an article has been cited. And so you'll see here on the right-hand side, here is an article, And then it's telling me this article has been cited 138 times. So this article has been cited 138 times in peer-reviewed sources. And if I click on that number, that 138, it'll take me to those other people that cited my paper. And the assumption is that those other people that cited my paper probably have a topic really similar to mine. So it's an easy, fast way for you to find more citation with doing very little work. So I always recommend to people, anytime you find a great science article, it doesn't matter where, whether it's through Google or Google Scholar or some other place, just copy and paste the title of that article within Web of Science and then see the other people that cited it, because you'll probably find more articles doing that. Has anybody done that? You should. Okay. Another way for you to find more literature is to make an appointment with Brianna or myself. And so we do research consultation. That is a normal part of our job. And so if you are in the beginning stages, middle stages, or towards the end of your literature review, feel free to contact us. Working with researchers, working with students and faculty, that is a normal part of our job. And so whether you're having trouble navigating the databases, whether you're having trouble kind of developing a thesis question, developing a topic, you're having trouble kind of organizing your literature review, feel free to contact us. Like I said, that is a normal part of our job. Okay, questions so far?
Yes, I have a question. There was a part you were talking about the references at the end before you got to Web of Science. It said something about like referencing or reference searching or something. Yeah, footnote tracking. I didn't quite understand that part.
Okay, so imagine you have an article with you, right? And you really like this article. If you
Yeah.
go all the way to the bottom of that article, you'll see its references, right?
Yes.
And so the assumption is that a lot of those references probably relate to your topic. So look them up.
Okay.
That's all it is. And so that is a common way that many of your faculty do research. It's kind of considered like, it's called footnote tracking, reference tracking, backward researching. It all basically means kind of following the trail, going backwards. So you have you have the article, so you have a good article, go to the bottom, and then locate all of those. And so let's say that, oh, excuse me. Let's say that this is the article, this is, I'm looking at a paper, I went all the way to the bottom, and then let's say I really like article number 4 that's listed here. I like the title, I think it, it relates to my topic. Well, then I have the citation information here. I have the author, I have the article name, I have the journal name, I have the year. Well, I can just look it up. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
Can
this is
I
just
post this on Web of Science?
Yes, Web of Science also allows you to do this. And so I was going to talk about it a little bit, show it a little bit later, but I don't mind showing to you now. Okay, so here's Web of Science. And so remember that Web of Science, if you have a good article, doesn't matter what the article is, if it's science related, copy and paste the title of the article within Web of Science. Web of Science allows you to do forward and backward site researching. And what I mean is that it gives you 2 numbers. It gives you the number of how often an article has been cited, and it also tells you the number of its references. So here's my article. Over here on the right-hand side under citation network, you're going to see a couple of numbers. The first number tells you how often that article has been cited. So 138 times in a peer-reviewed citation, peer-reviewed journal, peer-reviewed conference, peer-reviewed grant, something along those lines, but it's just peer-reviewed. If I click on that number, it's going to take me to those 138 citations. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Okay. Now, the backward end, you'll see here a couple of other numbers. You want to pay attention to this number here. cited references. So my article has 94 citations. So if you go all the way to the bottom under its references, it has 94 items listed. If I click on that number, it's going to take me to those 94. And again, the assumption is that some of those articles, some of those citations probably relate to my topic, because remember, this paper is perfect. I love it. It makes my argument. It's highly cited. It's prominent within my field. So I definitely want to cite this. And so I know that if I look at its references, I'm probably going to find some other great articles. So the first number shows you the other people that cited it, so where the research is going. And then the second number, the number of references, shows you where the research was. So you get to see the big picture with Web of Science. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
It's an amazing, amazing resource. Like I said, your faculty, they love this resource. It actually does a number of other things, but for right now and for the literature review sort of workshop, those are the two key resources or two key features that are really important to you. Okay. Once you have all of your citations, now you have to do the second part of the literature review. You have to actually evaluate the content. And so you have to sort of review it on a number of criteria. You have to think about, well, is this actually credible? Is this highly cited? Is it relevant? Who does it cite? Is it objective? Is it accurate? Is it timely? There are a number of sort of evaluations that you have to do when you're looking at the citations and figuring out which one you actually want to have in your literature review paper. Note taking. So you're going to be working with a number of citations, and it gets really overwhelming at times, and it's kind of hard to remember, what were the key points of, this paper that you read 2 months ago. And so it's important for you to have good note-taking habits. And so what I usually do is that in the top right-hand corner, I tend to just kind of write the key things that I want to remember. So whatever it's like a key argument or where I want to place this paper. So I know that when I was reading the article, I said, oh, this is probably really good in my introduction, or this is probably a good point or a good reference to note in my conclusion. Make some key notes for yourself on the actual paper itself. How do you keep current? So it's going to be really hard for you to constantly every day or every other day to go back and do your deep level like researching in your various databases and your various journals. And so what we recommend is that you set up alerts. And so you can set up alerts within your various databases, within your various journals. And so what I mean by alerts is that you can, for instance, go to Web of Science, create an account, and you can tell Web of Science anytime, for instance, this author publishes something, let me know. Anytime you can put alerts on keywords. And so if there's any papers that utilize my keywords, let me know. Or you can do table of content. And so you can have a table of content of some of your key journals sent to you. Has anybody done that?
No.
It's a good habit to do. Like I said, it's going to be difficult for you to kind of do this type of searching on a regular basis because you'll have your responsibility with your classes, your responsibility with, your home life. And so establishing alerts, it's a good way for you to keep current without doing a lot of work. So when to stop. And so when to stop is that when you see reoccurring papers when you see reoccurring authors, when you see literature that is not giving you new information. And so the effort that you're putting into it does not warrant what you're getting back. You're not getting anything new from your research. No new theories, no new methods, no new content. Okay, so you have your literature, you've evaluated it, you've summarized it, you know what you're keeping. And so let's say that you're working with 50 articles or 50 citations that have made it past all your filtering. So again, how do you organize what you have now in a way that's logical, that makes sense to your readers? Whether that reader is your instructor, whether that reader is a peer-reviewed board, whoever that is, how do you organize the literature review section? So whether that literature review is the entirety of the paper or just one portion of the paper. And so there are 3 popular ways to organize a literature review. And so your readers are familiar with these 3 processes. You want to make this as easy as possible for your readers. And this is what they're familiar with. So it makes sense that you select one of these ways to organize to make it easy for your reader. And so one way to organize a literature review is to organize it by date. And so let's say that, again, you have your 50 citations. You organize the literature review by oldest to latest, or by latest to oldest. Does that make sense? Chronological order by publication date of your citations. The next way is chronological theme. So again, you're working with your 50 citations. So you want to first look at your articles. The 50 ones come from the year 1995 to current. So you look at the articles, you organize all the articles that were published from 1995 to 2000. What were the key themes in those papers? That's paragraph 1. Then you look at the articles that were published from 2001 to 2005. What were the key themes? And so on and so on. So it is by date, and then within date, it is by what were the key themes. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, next, thematic, theme. So you organize your literature review by the key themes or key issues or key topic. And so if you know that your 50 articles, you organize the first paragraph by all of the articles that have theme this, theme A. Then you organize the next paragraph by the articles that have theme B. And then you organize the third paragraph by the articles that have theme C. Then last, method. This is where you organize the articles, your 50 articles, by the methods that were used in those papers. So paragraph 1 is all of the articles that use method A. Paragraph 2 are all of the articles that use method B, and then paragraphs 3 are all the articles that use method C. Do these 3 themes make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Like I said, these are the most popular ways to organize your literature review. And again, you want to make this easy for your readers. This is what they're familiar with, so this is what you should give them. Okay. Questions?
Do you have examples of some of the categories of organization?
Can you say that again, please?
Just asking, you know, I was just curious whether you have any samples of what.
So if you actually go back
Mhm.
to the do you remember those 3 different types of literature reviews I showed at the very top?
Yes.
Yes. So if you actually go to them and you'll see the ways that they're organized.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
No problem. But like I said, these are the 3 most popular ways, and you want to make this easy for your readers. This is what they're familiar with, so this is what you basically have to give them. Okay. So citation software. So a citation software is a software that organizes all of your citations in one centralized location. You can do, it can generate a reference page in basically any citation style. Know that every journal that you're working with, every journal that you read has its own citation style. And it also, this a citation software has a built-in relationship with Microsoft Word. So once you're ready to actually write your paper, you can do in-text citation. You can generate a works cited page or reference page in seconds. And so here at UMBC, we promote 2 citation software, Zotero and EndNote. They're great resources. I strongly recommend using them if you're a graduate student. And I would say if you're working in a lab, if you're working closely with a faculty, if you're doing any collaborative work, please use the same citation software that your faculty is using or the other people in your lab are using. And the reason why I say that is that the only way that you can share content if you're sharing, the only way that you can share content in Zotero or within EndNote is with other people in the same citation software. So if everybody in my lab is using Zotero, I need to use Zotero because if we're writing a collaborative paper together, we can share content together in Zotero. So make sure to know what your faculty is using, or make sure to know what the people in your lab are using, because it makes sense that you use the same one so you can share content. Okay. So as Brianna showed you, we actually have sessions, an EndNote session and a Zotero session. There's a link on our website. Okay, so now that I kind of did a deep dive on what a literature review is and how to kind of find content, evaluate content, let's kind of do a quick run through at some of where your resources are on our library website. Thank you, Brianna. Oops, I stopped sharing. Was I meant to do that? Okay, so let's walk you through like some of the key resources on our website. So I always tell the students or the researchers I'm working with, the article tag is going to be your friend and the first resource that you utilize. And so you want to view this as the starting point. You can search by title, by author, by subject. It's a great resource. It's really user-friendly. It'll give you a sense of the scope and range of your topic. And so whatever keywords, whatever you know about your topic, however unrefined you know, that's okay. It's very forgiving. So type in whatever keywords that you're familiar with. Let's do maybe evolution and animal behavior. Here on the left-hand side, before you look at any of the articles, you want to do some filtering. So you want to say that you're only interested in peer-reviewed. And it depends on what type of student you are, about the source type. I really like filtering by academic journals. But if you are a graduate student and you are in the beginning stages of your research, I recommend looking at conference materials. Conference materials is where you're going to find the latest, most up-to-date information on a particular topic. If your topic is really brand new, really cutting edge, there's not a lot of information that's published, then you're going to find it in the conference materials. Once you've done some filtering, then you can look at the articles, and so it gives you the option underneath the title, HTML, find it, PDF, anything along those lines. Okay, so this is the first place that you can find literature on your topic. The other places that you can find literature on your topic is to click on Research Help, and then select Research Guides. This is where we've grouped the top resources of every discipline in one location. And so, as I said in the beginning, it's all right if you're not familiar with the top resources of your field. We've done that for you. So you can go to your discipline. So we'll look at bio. And the list that it opens up to is the most important list, the list of the most popular databases in your discipline. This doesn't have a list of all of the databases, just the most popular. So you'll see Web of Science, Medline, Science Direct, Academic Search Ultimate, etc. The most popular databases in your discipline. So that's, oops. So that's, we look at the article, and now we look at the research guide to find where you can find your resources. Another place is to click on the database tab. So you can search for a known database. So I can search for Web of Science, or I can search by a big generic topic like health or medical or medicinal or environment, and all of the databases flagged by that big generic topic will be brought up. So that's another place that we found resources. Back to the front page of our library website, you click on the Journal tab. This is where you can find, again, a known journal. So I can search for the Journal of American College of Cardiology, or I can search by big generic topic like health, and all of the journals related to that big generic topic will come up. Okay, and so I talked a lot about in this session the resource called Web of Science, and I emphasize how important and useful it is. And so let's just take a moment and look at Web of Science. So I'm going to click on database and type Web of Science. I'm going to open up the link. And so you can use this database to search a topic. So, I can type in a topic that I'm interested in, or I can look for a specific article. It has to be science. So if I type in the name of an article that I'm familiar with, if we have it, if it has it, it's gonna come up. And this is what I mentioned before. These two numbers are extremely important to you. The first number tells you how often this article has been cited in peer review places. So 156 times. So this article is pretty prominent. If I click on that number, here they are. And if I want to read any of them, I simply just click on Find It. And then I'm back to my original article. And if I look at the second number, this shows me the list of its references. So at the very bottom of my article, there's 144 references. If I click on that number, here they are. And if I want to read any of them, again, click on Find It. Do you all see how amazing this resource is, that it does so much of the legwork for you?
Yes, 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 it's amazing actually. Yes.
Yeah, please, like I always say, bookmark it, do whatever you need to, but this does so much of legwork. You can just use it as just a regular database where you're searching just, a topic, type in a couple of keywords that you're familiar with, threats to wildness ecosystem, and it'll just do a regular search. And again, let's say you like this article. You can read the article. In addition, pay attention to the numbers here because they will help you find more articles. And so that is just sort of a quick rundown of some of the key resources on our website. There's a lot more. There's a lot more that you can talk to Brianna and I in terms of navigating the resources, helping you refine your topic, etc. But we're kind of running short. The last thing that I want to talk to you all is about a particular handout. And you want to use this handout. Thank you, Brianna. This is a sort of a handout that you can use to review your own literature review, to make sure that you are adding all the required parts. Also, you can use it as to review other people's literature review. And so this is called a checklist for analyzing a literature review. It's broken up into a number of sections. So the introduction, organizing and writing, the presentation of studies being reviewed, evidence of analysis. So for instance, you'll see under evidence of analysis, does the author go beyond summarizing the study? Is there evidence of analysis and critique? Is there evidence of analysis and synthesizing across the studies? Are the messages that are emerged from the literature? Do you see how it's emphasizing that a literature review is not only a summary, but it's a summary and an evaluation? Conclusion to the review. Does the author provide some summary and conclusion that pulls together their entire review? So utilize this checklist for yourself to see, does your literature review actually do what it's supposed to do? And also, if you're ever in the position to review other people, utilize this particular checklist. And that is the end of our session. Know that this session is, like I said, being recorded, so you'll get a copy of the recording tomorrow. If you have any questions, feel free to contact myself or Brianna. Let me put in chat. And Brianna, can you please put your email in chat too? Consultation is a normal part of our job. Feel free to contact us. Contact the right librarian who is of your discipline. And so in the link, hold on one second, let me pull up the link. Here.
I got it somehow.
Okay, great. And so make sure to contact the librarian who is of your discipline. But yeah, that's it for us. It was nice meeting everybody. Feel free to contact us. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Hit stop record.